the subject matter is something that we found that we need to do, and that is to deal with young professionals. And we find that people are maybe starting work in the last 2 years of COVID, even before that, and maybe give guidance on what they can do and so forth. It's just a pity that we don't have 300,000 of them clicking into this meeting. But what we will do is, as you know, these meetings are recorded and you get them at YouTube, on YouTube, and you just go young professionals. And then maybe in your companies or in your organizations, if you could share it or even use them or portions of these meetings to have discussions with some of your young professionals. Now, I don't always view young professionals as only guys with degrees. There's a lot of other people with diplomas and so forth, and that's why we've got somebody from EXA, Teresa. She's a star. She comes every time and she tries to explain how it is to become registered and what you can register for. So my chairman, for example, is busy with his doctorate degree, so I hope he registers once he gets his doctorate degree. So that's why we're holding a young professionals meeting, and it's starting to grow slowly, but I think we're gonna win this one at some stage. Then I think the other stuff is that we just need to comply to the legislation. We This subject matter can't be seen as an anti-competitive subject matter. I think it's something that we need to do, and I think also what we need to do in industry is to spend more time on training people. I think it's fallen down a bit because people don't go to offices and stuff like that. So I've spoken to insurance companies and financial companies, and they say they all have that same problem. We all used to go to the office and get sometimes taught manners when we come late to do things with the boss who say, hey, you can't do that. Now it's not there. So people sit with their pajamas on and smoke and drink and, whatever to get to meetings. So it's a bit of a difficult one. But I think we've tried to cover the most issues, and we will continue. This committee will continue. So if you hear of young guys, let them join in as we go along. There is a plan for the next meeting, which will be later in the year. So that's enough said. Anneke, you're starting to record, and I'm now going to hand over to Theodolen, who's my chairman for this specific committee. And thanks again for all your hard work. He's a real star. And Theodolen, I'm handing over to you, and then I'll shut up.
Thanks for that, Nico. So yesterday was a very good day in terms of the budget suite speech by Minister Godongwana. And I think some of the positives that came out of that was more on the infrastructure growth. Hopefully it can happen soon. But on the back of that, and that's why this committee as well has been put up, is that the skills are required for growth in this country. And it's no better time now, to try and develop the youngsters through this, whether it's from engineering or finance, the commercial side. So I think this committee gives us a voice in terms of, or the youngsters a voice in terms of trying to understand or being exposed to the various areas and take the opportunity. So whoever's in the meeting or it's been recorded to discuss, there's quite a few coaches and mentors that sits on. It does not have to be in the same company, etc. But there are people that can assist each other to ensure that you get the very best out of this. However, it's up to the individual to make that happen. So on that note, welcome. From our last meeting that we had in July 2021, we had Teresa with the Road to EXA Roadshow. And I think ongoingly she covers that area. So for a lot of the engineers that want to register in that area, it's very important to go through that. Then from geoscience in the real world, we had Prof. Nikki Wagner from UJ, and she gave us an explosive chat about geoscience in general. And we had a very good student paper from one of the AfriSam youngsters on jaw crusher stress analysis. So moving on for today, we've got a very good agenda. We're going to start off once again with Teresa, or when she joins us from the EXA side. And we have Koos Strutter and Garrett Gates from EAMS, and they will present the company profile to us. We have a student paper from Kirat Ishri Prasad from AfriSam on vibrating screen feeders. Nico, you'll come back just to round up in terms of some guidelines for career development and yeah, just some general input at the end. We do have a special guest today. Her name is Leonetsi Matutuana, who's the acting CEO of South African Institute of Electrical Engineers, and she'll probably join us at around 10:30. So it'll obviously give some of us exposure in terms of what they do from a voluntary association as well. So without further to do, Nico, is Teresa online by any chance? Hanaki. Okay, so maybe what we can do in the interim, we'll start off with Garrett and Koos, if from the company AMS, to take us to their company profile. Thanks. Garrett?
I'm just waiting for Koos to log in, Theola, and he only received the invite now. Just give him a minute.
Okay, no problem.
Anneke, maybe you should phone Teresa just to check if she can get in. Sometimes you just don't get into these programs.
No, I'm actually now busy dialing her, so I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen with you guys now. You guys should be able to see my screen.
We can see it.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for giving us this opportunity to introduce IMS Africa to you at the ASPASA Young Professionals meeting. So IMS Africa is a specialist engineering and technology service provider. We have a global reach because we do projects in the United States, we do projects in the Gulf, in mining, petroleum, different types of environments. And from a technology viewpoint, we have Fractal, which is a very nice web and mobile-based computerized maintenance management system. Then we also have an IOX Connect IoT platform that is for real-time monitoring of your data from any type of source that you have in the field. Then we have also Maintenance Hub, which is an analytical-based business intelligence dashboard where you can get insights into the data that comes from your different types of equipment. Then we have also the engine electrical machine monitoring solution, which is very nice for when you want to get insights into how your electrical equipment is behaving and how you can start predicting failures before they actually becomes an issue. Then we do condition monitoring service. And then we also have an inventory management service, which helps companies optimize their inventory. We have a range of wireless IoT sensors. So if we come to your plant and we want to measure temperature and you don't have a temperature probe installed at a specific area, we can still help you, because we will then be able to fit our own range of sensors to overcome that difficulty.
Good
Our
morning.
value.
Good morning, Gareth. Apologies, I just wanted to let you know I'm on the call. For some reason, I had problems. So I'll just come in when you're ready.
Okay, no problem. Then we also have a smart asset management solution. Our approach is to take Industry 4.0 and inject that into the bloodstream of an organization so that they can keep track with the modern day stresses and requirements. We look at problems from an operational viewpoint. We have a very strong operational background and an experience. And so where you typically look at the traditional company where they just sell you software, we have a very, very strong operational background to ensure that your assets integrity over a long period of time is sustained. And then we can do very deep insights. We can do machine learning, fast Fourier transforms, any of a range of techniques. Our project locations, as you can see here on the slide, we have projects running in the United States, South Africa, Australia, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia. And the industries is oil and gas, mining, manufacturing, food processing, telecommunications, and facilities. And our services is in asset management, in equipment integrity and risk management, maintenance planning, condition monitoring, inventory management, and we can integrate with any of your traditional packages that companies have, especially if it's a legacy a platform. Companies already invested, they don't want to change, but they are looking for additional features. Anything you want to add to that, Chris?
No, thanks very much, Gareth. I think the key point that where we focus is on technology enablement of the maintenance and the asset management environment. And the idea this morning is not to bore you with what we do, but just to show you and expose you to some of the unique solutions that we do offer. Not so much because we offer it, but because I think that's where the world is going to. One hears a lot about Industry 4.0. You hear about Industrial Internet of Things, but how does this look in reality? And I think everyone is still in the process of finding out what that means. So what we thought is just share with you three of the solutions that we engaged with. Gareth will quickly give you an overview of the electrical machine monitoring, because it's very unique. It's an old technology, but in a very new form. And then I can do a quick live show and tell of the sensor. What does the sensors look like in reality, and what does the online reporting looks like. So Gareth, if you want to just quickly give an overview of the engine electrical monitoring.
All right. So this is a solution that you can apply to any piece of equipment or plant that transmits electrical current and voltages. It is not for a specific equipment. As long as it has an electrical heartbeat, you can apply the solution. What the solution does is it takes equipment measurement performances and puts it in real time. So traditionally, if you look on a mine, once a year, you would do your oil analysis on your transformer, or you would bring in a vibration specialist, book him every 6 months, and he would measure the vibration levels on your crusher. What this solution does is it takes traditional offline tests, which through which you only have a view at a specific moment in time, and it brings it online. So it's a permanent online solution, which then means, you know, with some equipment, as they say, just as you walk away, then something happens, you know. It gives you that type of insight to then understand what is happening to my electrical motor, or my transformer, or my solar system, or my variable speed drives continuously throughout the day. So what we do is, you look just at your VTs and your CTs on your electrical motor and on your transformer, and by then injecting, watching and listening to the voltages and the harmonics that comes with your modern electrical supply, we then use software with algorithms where we then reconstruct all of the electrical waveform energy signatures of that specific equipment. We then send it through very well-known techniques, fast Fourier transforms, PQ spectrum, to then be in a position to give you full diagnosis, give you insights in power quality and efficiency of the monitor, and then we use that information to make a prediction. So, do I have to replace this electrical motor now, or can it still run for another 6 months? So that you can make your maintenance planning much better. As you can see here, we can monitor 165 unique variables on power transformers and 86 variables on an electrical motor. What is nice about this technique is it picks up electrical type of faults, electronic type of faults, but also mechanical faults, V-belt misalignment, eccentricity in your kiln while it is slowly rotating, any form of vibration on your crushers, your jaw crushers, conveyor belt misalignments, any of those traditional mechanical problems you can pick up with this technique. The advantage is it is online, so you don't have to wait for a specific person or equipment to become available. It's non-invasive. We're not cutting into any cables, and any electrical machine, as long as it conducts voltages, then it works, and there's no need for a specialized technician. So the next slide just gives you a quick overview. Here we've got 2 submerged pumps. There's your MCC. We look at your VTs and your CTs, send it through a data acquisition card to a gateway, to a server, and then whether you are on your phone or on your tablet computer or at your desktop computer, you log in, and then you get access to your fault diagnosis, energy efficiency, any of those type of insights. Here's just a quick overview. So when you log in, you will get your overall dashboard, which you can see on the left. And then for your plant operators, there's a very simple dashboard. Blue means it's offline. Yellow means there is something that is going wrong. Red means it is critical. Green means it is running very efficiently. And then for your more detailed stuff, there is your traditional motor current signature analysis that you can see. You can look at the waveforms, and you can look at also your fast Fourier transform spectrum analysis to see what is happening. The software will tell you when something goes wrong. You don't really need to be a specialist, condition monitoring specialist, to understand that. And now I'm going to give over to Koos to do a demonstration for us on the IOX Connect platform.
Thanks very much, Gareth. Just to check, can everyone see my screen? Gareth, if you can just confirm that it's no, it's not shared yet. Let me just share it quickly. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, you shared your desktop course, so yeah, there we can see it now.
Okay, so I want to quickly just show, rather than talk about two of the unique solutions, and this is where the industry is going. The first is rather than having paper reports, more and more what we are seeing is that industry is moving to online dashboards and analytical processes. So if you look at your maintenance environment, you have typically you will have a maintenance computerized maintenance system, and what one can do is to bring all of that information together with production data, condition monitoring data into a single platform. And I'll just show a simple way in which this works. So what you see here is just the overview dashboard. You can look at production data, closed work order, open work. You can look at service request, your monitoring data. So just to show how these things look like, as an example, you can bring in on your closed work orders, if you want to do an analysis on the work that has been done, you can bring in real live data with widgets and query tools. Typically, you can filter this literally by site, by time, by project, asset, priority. You can also, if you want to change the graphs, you can simply change it to another type of layout. And you can also just export all of this, typically CSV, Excel, or image files. Now, the key is that these are not necessarily static dashboards. So what we have here is planned versus unplanned work. And what you find in a plant, especially minerals processing, mining plants, that the planned versus unplanned is a key indicator of whether your plant reliability is good or not. Now, what you see here is if we just click on the we can drill down on the unplanned on the planned maintenance, and let's say we want to see, well, which assets are using most of this work is done. You have a live, and you can say, you can certainly see conveyors is a big problem, or a big work generator. So why and what is being done on conveyor belts that is so much taking so much time? We can go literally delve down into maintenance type, and again you can see that legals probably make up 60-70% of the work, and then you can drill down even further if you want to and see where it's done. What this allows you to do then is to make real life decisions, so you don't spend your time extracting information from the system, but you can spend your time analyzing information and understanding what it tells you and what management decisions you have to make. Typically, we also use this during our maintenance planning sessions as well. So again, if there's a problem, the planner can bring up the dashboards and immediately show where the problems are without having to go back and do more reports and more analysis. So real-time information is becoming a big drive within the industry. So this is the one example of where you're bringing together information from various sources. The other item that I want to show quickly is just the what is happening now in the world is the whole Internet of Things, especially on the industrial side. And what you see here is a sensor management platform, and this platform is running for customers locally in South Africa, but also overseas. And you can see anything from belt scale measurements from voltage detection, current meters, conveyor belt monitoring, drum density metering, and where the machines are online, offline. So this is just where you can see and monitor all of that. You can then the platform will automatically send you alarms when there is a problem, either that a device has gone off or it's gone over the alarm limits, minimum or maximum alarm limits. So there you can see there's a temperature data is greater than 50 degrees Fahrenheit. This is a US based installation, and you can even then map this on a plant map, and you can have various levels of plant mapping. You can see the sensors there, the cyclone plant. This is currently offline. There you can see there's the drum plant. It's a heavy media separation, and you can see the density 1.35, and it's within the limits of control. There you can see and monitor a plant conveyor scale, and there is no report. Sorry, no alarms there. It's all green. What you can also do is you can select charts. So if I just go select charts, and I can chart it, and I can see what's happening with this. And you can create reports and notifications. So you can send out notifications by email or WhatsApp, or you can even have robocalls to wake people at night. So going back to you, Gareth, if you just want to close out, then we just thought to show you some of the advanced maintenance techniques that are becoming very real in the world, and is very exciting. A lot of them is focusing on machine learning. A lot of them are focused on developing advanced algorithms for predicting. There's some more interesting stuff we do have, where we can actually predict the failure probability and time end of life for equipment based on a vibration metering. We can also predict parts requirements and optimal maintenance period schedules based on Weibull analysis of maintenance events. Looking at your history, you can predict when your maintenance cost of maintenance is going to start impacting negatively versus the reliability. So these are all new technologies that's coming onto the market, and which I think many of you are going to step into when you start working. Thanks very much, Gareth. Back to you.
Thank you, Koos. I have one more slide, guys, that I want to just share with you, and that is just to show you our client base. As you can see, it's all over the show. It is not specifically to a specific industry. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to present to you. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us or myself, and then we can take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Gareth and Koos. Quite an enlightening presentation. And to all members, you're welcome to get into contact with the team. Moving on to the agenda. Welcome, Leonetsi Matutuana. Glad for you to be here. We would like for you to present next as the acting CEO of South African Institute of Electrical Engineers. So welcome to our forum, And yeah, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Theolon, and good morning to everyone. My name is Liane Matutwani, as mentioned. I would like to tell you today about the South African Institute of Electrical Engineers, who we are, what we do, what we stand for, and basically what's in it for you. So as I'm talking here, I'm just trying to get my presentation so that I can share it with you accordingly. There we go. Cool. All right. So yes, thank you very much once again for giving me the opportunity to talk to you about the SAIEE. So we are a very old voluntary association formed in 1909, about 113 years ago. So we have a long-standing history of serving electrical engineering professionals, and we have about 1,000 members who are professionally engaged in the full range of electrical engineering activities, be it academic research, manufacturing, electronics, telecoms, measurement and control, as we talk about, mining, and their contributions are acknowledged and efforts are acknowledged in many countries of the world as they make those meaningful contributions to the quality of life in communities and to the steady advancement of technology. So as I mentioned, we are a voluntary association. Nobody is forced to join us. However, we are not a legislated body. EXA is a legislated body. And what we are a voluntary association. You join us voluntarily, but the benefits, therefore, I will talk to as I go through my presentation here, which does now move on. All right. So what our purpose is, what we live for, in essence, is to enhance the practice of electrical engineering in South Africa and the stage of our members through knowledge, networking, influence, education, and communication. And how we plan to deliver on that purpose is basically making sure that our member value proposition, we actively improve on it and it is relevant to our members, and we retain and grow our members, and we do get to our membership, so we get new members. And we also then focus on those the people in the background such that they are well capacitated to offer or make sure that their purpose is reached in essence. And we also help here, how we will deliver on that is to help our regional centers that I'll talk to later on in the presentation. And if, am I audible? Sorry.
Sorry about that. Could we please just put our mics off?
All good. All right, and how we will deliver on our purpose there is to help our regional centers. As I said, I'll speak to them later on, and even special interest groups to make maximum impact, and to have an aggressive stakeholder outreach to raise their profile and gain influence. So, just need to move on, but it doesn't want to move on. Okay, there. So, what are the benefits of being a member of the South African Institute of Electrical Engineers? So all members active in the electrical engineering industry are welcome to join, whether you are an electrician, a technician, a technologist, an engineer, anybody who's, even students in essence, because we do have student members. So anybody active in the industry is welcome to join. We also do have members who are not necessarily in the space, but what the expertise does is it's also then related to electrical engineering. Case in point, we also have what we call a nuclear chapter. Right. Part of the benefits, there is an online magazine that's published every month for 11 months of the year, and it's called the What Now. It's available online to all our members. Our members also have access to the peer-reviewed Africa Research Journal. Our members have access to monthly lectures, which we, before COVID, would offer face-to-face, and these were in the form of technical sessions in the different facets of electrical engineering, and then attendees would then network thereafter. What we've since done with the advent of COVID is we've gone online with those. So we have gone online, and these technical talks then do take place online. And last year alone, we had, I think, just over 60 technical talks, online technical talks, and these talk to different areas of electrical engineering for catering for everyone's interest, in essence. So we, as a member, you also get generous discounts on CPD training courses. We do have a training academy that offers CPD accredited courses, electrical engineering, in electrical engineering related fields, and some are generic fields, you know, writing technical reports, amongst others. And to that point, I have Zanele, who's also on attendance here. Maybe at the end, she might want to add a little bit here and there. And then on that, we also, our members also have access to monthly CPD accredited site visits. There's networking opportunities, which is our biggest value proposition in essence. And you can also, as a member, become part of an SAIE center in your area. We've got 9 centers in South Africa, and we are still looking to open more so that we have, our members are covered accordingly. As a member, you also receive a weekly newsletter. It's called The Chronicle, and it's bi-weekly to be exact, because it is published every Tuesday and Thursday. You also have access to the SAE Museum and Library, and engineering students are welcome to join. You can actually claim 1 Category 3 CPD credit for being an SAE member. That's for those who are inclined to be registered as engineering professionals with EXA, whether technologists, technicians, or professional engineers. So in essence, we offer an opportunity for those that are so inclined to register, or who are registered professionals, to earn CPD points, and also those who are not necessarily along that field. We offer a platform for sharing knowledge and networking. Moving on. Oh, right, let's see. So talking about who we are, we know engineering has not been very inclusive in the past. It has always been a very masculine hoarded industry, and that's basically our gender profile there, mostly male oriented, but you can see there's some females are basically making inroads therein. So we're hoping that someday we will get there, slowly but surely. And our membership age profile, that's what we can see there, basically spread mostly between 30 and about 47. So which is basically, if one thinks about it, one's useful or working mostly where one is employed in their work situation, in essence. But you can see going more to the left, that's where most of we have student members coming into the industry, but more so, and so widely spread to the right, we have members who have all the experience, who've been there, done that, with all the t-shirts, and who also then would like to share their information or pay it forward, in essence. So that's our membership profile in essence. And this is just our membership rate card for 2022. As a member, you pay, if you pay before the 31st of March, you pay 1,822 as a member in South Africa. So this we have and that's the discounted rate to encourage early payment. If it's paid after the 31st of March, then it's the discount falls away, and then it becomes 2,186. And I'm just talking members. And this also then talks to our different categories of membership. Currently, our membership is individual members. So it starts from student, associate, member, senior member, and fellow, right through to retired members. So a little bit about the magazine that I spoke to, that we publish 11 times in a year. 11 times, there's 12 months in a year. So we do want to give our members a bit of a break also in December, and even our managing editor. So the last one in the month covers 2 months in essence. So, and that magazine was launched in 2011 in November, and it's the official publication of the SIE, and it's guaranteed to reach all our SIE members. It's now published online, as I mentioned, and consists of an editorial board that is well respected industry experts. We've got a verified circulation figures of about just under 13,000, with an average readership of about 40,000 engineers. This is now members passing these on to the other members or even colleagues who are not necessarily members as yet. And in there, just to also make it sustainable, companies can also advertise in there, and we offer attractive and competitive advertising rates. We also have what started out as the transaction of the SIE in 1909, and changed gradually to the SIE Africa Research Journal. So this is a journal that is published quarterly, and it publishes research, survey, and its expository contributions in the engineering field. And it's the only accredited peer-reviewed journal in this sector in South Africa. And it's available on the website, and it's also of late indexed through IEEE Explore. And basically on IEEE Explore, one can then view all the editions from 1909 right through to the current ones as they've been digitized recently, and we even had a celebration to that effect. So what is published therein is basically papers and R&D notes. And on mentorship, we offer paid and unpaid mentorship, and it offers certain benefits for both the mentor and the mentee in essence. And with the mentorship program, currently we have put it on hold just to do a proper revamp on it, and we'll be launching it very soon. As I showed you earlier on with the spread of our membership age in essence. So those in the later years who have all the experience and would like to give back in essence, or even paid forward, they can then become mentors, and that's what this mentorship program does. Then it allows them to give back, and it's also got further benefits for them in that we always learn. You're never too old to learn. So reminds also how the mentor how to listen actively rather than passively, encourages the sharing of knowledge, strengthens interpersonal skills, and it's a learning all in all for the mentor, benefits for the mentor, and re-energizes one's career, because you would understand that at that age you would probably be feeling that you cannot, that you've got nothing to offer to the world, but there's also that opportunity here, and that leads to more personal satisfaction. And then for the mentee, this is the opportunity to gain knowledge in essence and increase self-confidence, to take better control of one's career. It's all overall a learning experience in essence, and provides, more importantly, networking contacts, and helps mentee better understand the organization's culture and those unspoken rules, which could be critical for success in essence. And then I did mention that we also have a training academy which offers, which is registered with EXA, and as registered professionals, whether a professional technician, technologist, or engineer, EXA requires that one earn at least 5 CPD credits derived from category 1, 2, and 3 in order to maintain your professional registration. And as I mentioned, then what we then do is we offer that opportunity for registered engineers, also engineering professionals, to gain CPD points. And because what the training academy then does is it offers those CPD accredited courses, and for members they come at a fee. For members they are discounted, and for non-members it's normal rates. So with the advent of COVID, before the advent of COVID, they were all face-to-face courses, and currently we offer online and face-to-face courses. We also do offer in-house courses. So a specific company might have a need for a specific group of their employees for a specific training that we offer, then we can do that in-house. You can either come to our head office, or we can come to you, or we can do it online with that group. So that we also offer. There's a whole list on our website of the courses that are on offer that are CPD accredited. And that's the hyperlink that one can go through there. We also schedule those courses every month, different courses. We offer these courses online currently, as I mentioned, and also face-to-face. Pre-COVID, they were offered on the major centers across the country, which is where we had the representation of the centers. But what COVID has also obviously allowed us to do then is to reach those previously far-flung places, and through online means, and that's what we currently do with also the training academy. And presenters are evaluated, and we have those courses available on the SAE on our website. If you go to sae.org.za under the Training Academy tab, you can actually browse through there. You can register and even pay for a course that of your interest. We also have a repository of all the past events, be it our past lectures, or even technical webinars, or even technical talks, be it webinars and videos or president's invitation lectures. All those, the repository is called SAE-TV. It's our YouTube channel where all these are then reposited onto, and where one can then go and look up for previously presented webinars and go through those. SAE-TV it is. Our SA Voluntary Association, we have annual events, and one of those being the AGM. As a voluntary association, we are obliged to have an AGM so that we report on all our performance, financial and otherwise. And this takes place generally in March. It's going to be taking place later in March this coming month. And every sitting president has to have a charity golf day, and where we change presidents every year. There is the whole, if I can just detour a little bit onto our governance and a governance structure. So it's almost like the best way I can explain it is it's a pipeline. So the president becomes a president for one term, which starts in March and ends in which starts in March at the AGM and ends the following year in March at the AGM when the new president gets elected. Then, so there's a whole pipeline. It starts as the junior vice president, and then the following year, the junior vice president becomes the senior vice president, and the following year, the senior vice president becomes the deputy president. The following year, the deputy president becomes the president, and then the following year, they become the immediate past president. So every time a president gets appointed or inaugurated, then they have a tour that they undertake, and that's the president's inaugural tour. There's annually a president's invitation lecture where a prominent person in a specific field of electrical engineering gets invited to give a lecture. And there's also the Bernard Price Memorial Lecture, which is almost the same in that a prominent person then also gets invited. And this is in conjunction with Wits University and University of Johannesburg. You also have the National Students Project Competition, an annual banquet, and national conference. The last we had a conference was in 2019 in November, and since COVID, it's played havoc, and we are still planning on that one. So site visits, SIE member centers would then arrange site visits to different and interesting places, basically, and those would be CPD accredited. There'd be certain CPD points that are allocated to those, and these are organized well on a monthly basis by the different centers. Previous ones include Ingula Pump Storage Scheme, Kusile Power Station, and power manufacturing plants, just to name a few. And we have centers, 9 of them in total around the country. And that's on the bottom there. You can see we still need to get some representation in the Northwest and Mpumalanga and Limpopo. Other than that, with those centers, members basically get to rub shoulders with industry experts, and they have access to monthly lectures, because in each of these centers, each center has got a committee that comprises of a chairperson and different portfolios within that committee, and they meet monthly. And every month when they meet, then there is a lecture or a talk that they arrange. Each center has got a certain budget that is allocated to make sure that there is life, in essence, happens within that center. So each center offers career development tools. You've got access to monthly CPD accredited site visits, as mentioned in the previous slide. Promotes engineering studies to school leavers. It provides mentoring to students in the student chapters. So we have student chapters in the different higher education institutes, and given their regional placement, they are then linked to the nearest center close to them. And that's where the mentoring also happens to students in those student chapters. And they have access to industry's most essential technical information. Then, in order to promote knowledge in different sectors and chapters and that engineering, we have what we call sections and chapters. So these are the technical areas or subcommittees, for lack of a better word, that are set up to share specific information knowledge within that sector. The established sections are electronics and software, telecoms, power and energy, rotating machines, historical section, building services, and in systems section. So, and there's also subsections that fall under each of those, and we call them chapters. So, case in point, under your power and energy section, you also have an earthing and lightning protection chapter. And that's the whole list of all the established chapters. I mentioned earlier on in my talk that we also have a nuclear chapter, and members thereof are not necessarily engineering professionals, but they are nonetheless associate members, and they do provide and share their knowledge as essential for members thereon. Each of the sections and chapters has got the same governance structure. There's a section or a chapter chair and yes, a committee in essence, and they meet every month in essence to have technical talks and share knowledge. So we are a networking and knowledge sharing platform or association in essence. And with each of those technical talks or that each of the sections and chapters arrange, those would be CPD accredited. So they members who do then attend, they get those CPD points, awarded those CPD points, and they can then prove to EXA that they have undertaken continuous professional development. We also have a museum on site at the SAE house. Our head office is at Observatory in Johannesburg. Yeah, we have the library and a museum, and the museum is soon to be named the Max Clark Museum in honor of a departed gentleman who was a very active SAE member, especially in the and very instrumental in the establishment of the museum itself and the library. So he was also a chairperson of the historical section. So the historical section looks after the museum, which sports many historical artifacts in its collection. It's got different rooms dedicated to various items, and it's open to the public by prior arrangement with head office. So you can call us to arrange, and we'll make sure that it's open and guided tour there through. So all these artifacts have been collected over years and years, and are of particular interest to the electrical engineering practice. And we also alluded to this, but through our marketing managing editor and through the What Now magazine, we also offer corporate partnership. So companies looking for strategic partnerships to achieve goals for CSR or HR or public relations can then partner with us through corporate partnership, and we then offer access to our membership and the discounted rates, advertising rates. There's we have a website. There's can be website listings amongst those. So the corporate partnership has got different levels also that companies can then take up and partner with us for information there. And that is my story for today. Zanele, I don't know if there's anything you want to add on the training academy.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alexia, as mentioned. I'm the training academy manager, and you have basically covered everything on your presentation. Just one point to add is that companies can save on training costs by booking multiple employees. So we do offer group discount for 5 people or more from the same company. And also what you have actually haven't sent a link for, I think on our website, when you visit our website under Training Academy, we do have a Training Academy brochure, which it's a list of all our CPD courses that you can actually book through the SAE Training Academy. And if you would like us to offer the in-house courses as well, you can pick any course from the course brochure and contact the training coordinators, or even send an email to my email address. You can send a request to my email address. I will just type my email address on the chat box. So all the planned CPD courses are available on the training calendar. And let me just type my email address where you can send your group bookings inquiries, or if you require any in-house training. Thank you. That will be all from my side.
Thank you, Lenetsi and Zanele, for that profiling. I, for one, know that SAI is a well-established organization or association and well-structured in terms of the training aspects and the conferences, etc. So I'm sure that we would take this information back to our associated producer member companies. And yeah, we appreciate the presentation from your end. Yes, Leonati.
Thank you very much, Theolan. And just one last word from me. For to join our organization, it's very simple. You can actually go to the website, SAI website, and then membership. You can join from there and provide all the required information. And yeah, that's my story for today. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And yeah, if there's any questions, I'll take that. But other than that, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, moving on now. We've got a student paper on vibrating feeder screening from Kirat Isri Prasad. Kirat?
Okay, thank you, Theolan. Okay, can you guys see it?
Yes, we can, Kirat.
Okay, so let me start. Good morning to all, and thank you for this amazing opportunity. Just some background on myself. My name is Kirat Isri Prasad, and I graduated from UKZN with a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering in 2019. Since March 2020, I've been employed by APSAM as an engineer in training in construction materials, which allowed me to understand the workings of the mine, as well as develop and apply my engineering skills to solve real-world challenges in aggregate crushing plants. Today, I'll be presenting the improvements made to one of our vibrating grizzly feeders at one of our APSAM sites. So firstly, I would like to cover some theory behind a vibratory grizzly feeder so you guys can get an understanding of it. A vibratory grizzly feeder usually forms part of the primary process in a crushing plant. It is used to feed the blasted rock material into a primary crusher using a linear reciprocation motion at an angle. The blasted rock that is hauled from the quarry by a dump truck is loaded onto the feeder so that it can be conveyed to further processes downstream in the plant. The feeder is fitted with grizzly bars that allows for the fines to bypass the primary crusher, allowing for better interparticle crushing and increased liner life. The feed rate of the feeder can also be controlled through the use of a VSD. However, the size and moisture of the material adversely affects feeder performance. Just looking at the construction of the feeder, a vibratory feeder just consists of a feeder pan which holds the rock material. It also has isolation springs that isolate the vibration from surrounding structures, while also allowing the feeder to withstand those high impact loads coming from the material falling from the dump trucks. It has a vibrating system that creates the vibration, and there are two types that exist in industry. And it also includes those grizzly bars at the front of the feeder. And it is known that these grizzly feeders could either be inclined or horizontal. This is just the image here showing the grizzly feeder that is on site at one of our APSAM sites. Okay, so the vibrating drive system of the feeder imparts a linear reciprocating motion through forces from unbalanced eccentric motion. The two common vibrating drive systems that exist for vibrating grizzly feeders are the dual eccentric shaft type, or you get the dual unbalanced motor type. The dual eccentric shaft type is a self-contained drive unit that includes two parallel counterweighted offset eccentric shafts. These shafts include counterweights that are adjustable to allow you to get the desired stroke. These shafts also achieve synchronization through the use of a timing gear. Both these shafts sit onto roller bearings which receive lubrication through an oil bath, and this drive unit is valve driven. When it comes to the other type of drive system, which is the dual unbalanced motors, it includes two separate vibration motors which are mounted onto a common motor beam, allowing them to work together. This type of system also includes adjustable counterweights to get the desired stroke, and it achieves self-synchronization during operation at rotational speeds higher than 70% of its max rated speed. Both the drive system mentioned on the previous slide makes use of the same simple vibrating principle to convey the material. For this principle to stand, the vibrating principle to stand true, the two shafts or motors must rotate in opposite direction at the same speed. Okay. As the shafts rotate, the direction of the centrifugal force also rotate. The centrifugal force can be seen here. It's given by that arrow. So as the shafts rotate, the weights rotate, which causes the centrifugal force to rotate. And because the shafts rotate in opposite direction, the centrifugal force of each shaft or motor basically doubles each other at the 0 and 180-degree angular positions from its initial angle, and cancel each other out at the 90 and 270 angular positions from its start position. This can be seen in this diagram here, which shows number one where it's at its 0 angle position, and you can see the centrifugal force acts in the same direction. And number 3, when it's 180 from that starting angle, again, it amplifies. Whereas at the 90 and 270 angular positions, those centrifugal forces act opposite to each other and thus cancels it out, allowing for motion only in a single direction. Then you have the angle of incidence, which is the angle at which the reciprocating force occurs, is achieved through the use of the timing gears or a common motor beam, which is the beam will be designed with that angle of incidence with it. It also, with this vibrating principle, allows for the material to be alternately lifted and conveyed on the feeder, from the feeder. Okay. Now that we understand what a vibrating feeder is and how it works, I just want to go on to present the improvements that were made to a feeder that is situated on one of our sites to achieve the required efficiency. The reason for the improvement was because the drive system of the feeder on site faced continuous issues. The existing drive system on the feeder is the eccentric shaft type, and it had constant oil leaks, which led to overload trips in the plant. These leaks also caused bearing failures due to insufficient lubrication oil. And these breakdowns were occurring regularly and was considered to be high cost and have high repair lead times because when a failure occurs, all 4 bearings will have to be replaced, where each bearing costs approximately around 10,000 Rand. And also the lengthy repair times meant significant production losses for the plant to incur. Due to these breakdowns, the plant had a reduced availability to crush, and therefore the overall equipment efficiency targets could not be achieved. Thus, a decision had to be made to either repair the existing drive unit or replace the unit entirely. The decision was finalized when a major failure occurred on the 4th of November 2020, where a few of the timing gear teeth broke on the existing drive system. So to repair the system will mean machining new gears, which will be a long time repair time, as well as it will be very expensive. So that's why we finally decided to change the entire drive unit to the other drive system to use dual unbalanced motors. Okay. In order to change the entire drive system successfully, the unbalanced motors needed to be selected correctly to handle the load at the required feed rate. Some considerations that must be made when selecting unbalanced motors is firstly the required stroke of the feeder, which for grizzly feeders, it should be around like 10 to 15 millimeters due to the large particle size. The feeder pan mass that excludes the drive system mass and any material on it. The drive system mass as well as the working moment needs to be known. The working moment is a parameter that incorporates the centrifugal force exerted as well as the rotational speed of the motors. And it is the actual parameter that's used to select the motors. Lastly, the material flow rate required should also be known so it can be validated against what the feeder can actually achieve. For our system, Invicta BLZ motors were considered as it is the standard vibration motor that is used in non-ATEX environments, which is non-explosive atmospheres, where the ambient temperatures are between -20 and +40 degrees, and the available supply voltage was 525 volts. These are 6-pole or 8-pole motors, which are best suited for grizzly feeder applications due to the high amplitude that can be achieved by them. The formula that was used through an iterative process to determine which is the correct motor that would be required is this one here shown here. It shows that the stroke of the feeder is equal to the working moment divided by the mass of the feeder, the beam, as well as 2 times the mass of the chosen motor, because you will be operating with dual motors. An educated assumption was made of 11.4 was made for the required stroke of the feeder. This lies between 10 to 15 millimeters for grizzly feeder applications. The mass of the common motor beam was assumed to be around 1,000 kilos, as the beam can only be designed once the motors are selected. Then the original mass of the feeder was found to be 5,340 kilos from the manual. However, I noticed that on site there were some further modifications that were made to the feeder, so I increased it by a factor of 25%, and this resulted in a feeder pan mass of 6,675 kilos for the calculations. It's good to note that all calculation iterations were done in the no material load case, that is when the feeder is empty, right? To begin the iterations, the first motor was chosen to have a minimal centrifugal force to at least carry the entire installed mass of the feeder. So that was around 9,000 kilos there. In the first few columns shown here are the motor specs, which were taken directly from the manufacturer's brochure. Included in the specs is the working moment that can be achieved by a specific motor, right? The required working moment is then calculated using that formula, and it's been tabulated here. And if the calculated working moment is greater than that for that specific motor, then you'll have to move on to a bigger motor. As can be seen in the table, the calculated working moment for the first 2 iterations for both 6-pole and 8-pole motors were higher than what the motor could achieve. So that's number 1 and 2 and 4 and 5. You can see that these were the calculated, and that was the actual what can be achieved. And again, for 4 and 5, these were the calculated values, and this what could be achieved. Therefore, we ended up, our final selection was the one marked in green here, which is the BLZ 75-150/8, which is an 8-pole motor. Because if you compare this number 6 to number 3, for roughly the same calculated working moment, the 8-pole motor uses less input power and also weighs less. Furthermore, it also produced less G-force as compared to the 6-pole motor, which gave us a 5.68. And for grizzly feeder application or vibration applications, it should be between 3 to 4 Gs. Above 5 Gs could break that feeder, so therefore we went with that 8-pole motor. Then now that the motors were selected, we were able to, the new beam could be designed. The new beam was designed by Mining Quarry Supplies, who are specialists in vibratory machinery. The feeder had an angle of inclination of 5 degrees, thus the beam was designed to have an angle of 40 degrees to the horizontal, which allowed for an overall 45-degree angle of incidence to be achieved. This diagram just shows you how the angle of incidence plays a role in actually pushing this material forward as it goes on the feeder, as it is driven on the feeder. As can be seen by the image on the beam, hug bolts were used instead of welding to connect the side plates to the beam. There's your hug bolts there, and there's your beam in the center. The hug bolts are commonly used in vibration applications to provide a permanent connection and prevents the stress concentrations that are caused by welding. The beam was designed to withstand 4 Gs of acceleration, and a centrifugal force of 30 tons, and the actual mass of the beam actually worked out to be around 1,060 kilos, which is almost the same as what we assumed it to be. Okay, to understand how the feeder will perform on site with the new drive system, we have to understand how it will be operated. So considering the scenario where the operator of the plant varies the emotional RPM stroke is a function of the centrifugal force applied, rotational speed, and the load the motors are subjected to. This scenario considers the no load material case as shown here on the table. We kept the load just as to be the installed mass and constant. And the weight percent on these on the counterweight was set to 100%, so max centrifugal force was exerted. Sorry. As can be seen in the graph here below, while keeping the load and exerted centrifugal force constant, we were able to identify that there exists an inversely proportional relationship between the stroke and RPM of the feeder. Thus, a lower RPM equals a higher stroke for a given number of poles. In order to determine the material flow rate that the feeder can achieve, we first need to determine how fast the material is moving on the feeder, which is the material velocity. If you look at the motion of a rock particle on the feeder, you will quickly see that the motion of the particle matches that shown in projectile motion. So just the image here showing the trajectory of a particle in a feeder, which is similar to that of projectile motion, right? So therefore, I rearranged the horizontal range equation in projectile motion so that we could relate the material velocity to the stroke of the feeder. And this equation shows how I achieved that. Thus allowed us to determine the flow rate of the material that will be discharged into the primary crusher by using the second equation shown below. This equation here calculates the material flow rate, and it includes the bulk density of the material, the cross-sectional area that the material moves through, which is W times H, as well as the velocity of the particle and the factors that influence the flowability of the particle, which is the size, moisture, and inclination. Okay. Using this data, graphs were plotted to map the relationship between material load and stroke, as well as the relationship between stroke and material flow rate. As can be seen in the first graph, as the material load decreases on the feeder, the stroke of the feeder increases for the same rotational speed, right? And the same trend exists in the second graph, which shows that the material flow rate at the discharge is directly proportional to the stroke of the feeder. Therefore, higher stroke equals higher material flow rate for the same speed of feeder. This discussion of our findings, results still indicate that a higher number of poles on your vibration motor does equal a higher stroke and higher material flow rate, under the assumption that all other parameters are kept constant, like for your RPM and your Gs and your G force exerted. The design flow rate achievable was calculated to be an average of 273 tons per hour, and the plant produces material at a production rate of 150 to 165 tons per hour. There are a few factors that influence the deviation in this flow rate, and that is varying material size, especially high fines content, moisture content in the material, which makes the material behave like a solid, material buildup on the feeder, which changes the feeder mass, the pegging of the grizzly bars, which is when material gets stuck in between the grizzly bars and prevents smooth flow of material, load and haul issues that cause non-continuous crushing, velocity inaccuracies due to non-ideal projectile motion, material mass inaccuracies, as well as bottlenecks downstream, such as that have lower capacity, such as like crushers downstream or conveyors downstream. Just going back here, this is after we got it finally installed, this was the two vibration motors onto that motor beam connected to the existing vibratory grizzly feeder on site. In conclusion, I'd just like to say that we successfully implemented the dual unbalanced motor drive system for an existing grizzly feeder and achieved the required production rate according to the process. The new drive system is simple and requires comparatively less maintenance, which means higher machine availability and increased efficiencies. Some possible improvements would be to implement preventive maintenance schedules to torque the motor hold-on bolts to 1,634 newtons once a month, to grease motor bearings with 66 grams of Unirex N3 grease or an equivalent every 3,500 hours of operation. Lastly, checking for and cleaning material buildup on and under the feeder on a daily basis before startup. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and if there's any questions, I'll be happy to take them. Thank you.
Garrett, thanks for that presentation. A very well constructed technical paper. We have one question from Mr. Tekolo, if your presentation is available. So you can probably get Mr. Tekolo's email address, and you can send it to him.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. He can send me his email address and then send him the presentation.
Well done, Garrett.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Teresa won't be joining us today. It's slightly late. We've come closer to the end. So I just want to give Nico an opportunity on his end just to chat a bit of the forum and some tips on career development, and then I'll conclude at the end. Nico?
Thanks, Leonin. Yeah, I think if the just quickly the papers that are available, we're recording this program, and we will also attach, when we send out the link for the program, we'll attach all the papers. So that's quite important that we do that to keep you guys up to date. Yes, it's a young professionals talk, so I thought I'll just give a little bit of guidance, and I'll tell you why. We always think that especially when you get a bit older, you think that young guys are different to old people, but it's not much. And I just want to say, we just saw or heard a very, very well presented case by a younger guy than what I am, and many of us are a bit older. So we mustn't underestimate people. But I just thought I just want to give a few tips. I want to share with you a few things because, yeah, young professional people also need a few tips on people skills, because that's important. But I think just to start off, Anneke is going to put my little presentation on. Hopefully she's still awake. I hope so. Oh, there we are. She's Anneke, you can go to the next page, to the introduction. We will also send this out, and I'll tell you now about a few more things, but I won't keep you long because I think you're all by now tired. Anneke, the next page. There we are. Does it go bigger? No, that's fine. Right, I just wanted to, you've gone back now. Just wanted to say that COVID-19, I think we all know that has had influence on all of us. And I think we've all been rattled a bit. And I spoke to people in big insurance companies, in big financial places that are family or friends or whatever over December. And they're saying that in the old days, us young guys who went to the office got taught certain issues in office manners, in office protocols, and that all fell flat. And in those big companies where they all go into these huge buildings, they find that people have maybe lost that. And somewhere along the line, maybe we should just talk about that. So I just thought some relevant issues. The professional experience. Now, we just heard a paper now. I mean, that's professional. We can argue until you're blue in your face. A young guy who's professional. And I think that's what we need to do, is to show people that we're professional. So it doesn't matter what you do. Being professional is being the best in your field. And I always tell the story about the American guy who invited all the best guys in certain professions to a party, and 2 or 3 of his very fancy rich buddies who came there and said, who's that and who's that and who's that? And the guy said, you see that guy there? He's the best Ferrari mechanic in the world. You see that guy there? He's the best electrician in the world. That guy there is the best whatever. So I think that's what one needs to do, become professional. Leadership development, I think we all need to get that. How do you lead? You know, in the old days, I used to work in the Building Industries Federation, and the guy who was the best bricklayer also became the foreman, but he had no development on how to lead people. He would take a shambok out of the bucky and beat the oaks if they didn't work fast enough. So that's not leadership development. Somebody never developed those type of guys in getting how to lead people. Of course, training is crucial. Yes, the training that we do as professionals, we've just heard, excellent, knows exactly what goes on. There's many more others of that nature, but we also need training in various other stuff. Coaching and mentoring, I believe in coaching. I'm a bit older than most of you are, but I've got a coach who's younger than me. Um, and I won't give his name, but I'll just tell you, he's the CEO of the biggest company in our industry. And when I have a problem, I phone him personally, and he says, "No, don't do it this way, do it that way." So, you know, of course, we all have, if those of us who have wives, they also coach us. So that's another thing that we need to just say, guys, get a coach, get somebody that can mentor you. We have asked, and it's one of the points on the agenda, we did ask who is willing to mentor people, and maybe we only got Theodolin's name, but there might be other people who's willing to mentor people, just to say, man, if you've got a problem with this or that, this is what I suggest you do. It's nothing fancy. You don't have to be too clever to do that. And then, of course, at the end of the day in the workplace, we need management support. You can't work on your own and fall around and so forth. So just a summary of the tips to best develop young professionals. Annika, you can move on, please. Um, Okay, so again, get a mentor, get somebody. It might be somebody younger, it might be somebody older, it might be of the opposite sex. Might be if you're a man, a woman. It might be a woman needs a man. Uh, Maybe sometimes we just need to set emotions aside. We all get emotional. I know I get emotional when people start arguing with 4x4s with me. So if he drives a Land Rover, I'm immediately emotional. I think, yo, how can this guy argue with me? I'm just using it as an example. But yeah, don't get emotion about everything, and don't get upset about stuff. Keep on learning. I think Theodolan, our chairperson here, I mean, I joked with him when he started off. He's busy with a doctor's degree. He's not 25 anymore. So there's many examples of people that keep on learning. I don't want to talk too much about myself, but I only got my master's degree when I was 43. So I kept on learning my whole life through. I was studying and learning, and I got so many of these little pieces of paper against the wall. But yeah, it's just keep the mind going. Have a positive attitude. I think this COVID might have got to some of us, and I include myself, that you get very negative. You sit in the office and you think, shit, I can't talk to anybody. So I think get a positive attitude. Set realistic goals. You know, we can't all go to the moon, but maybe we can try for Cape Town. So, but you must have goals. You must have bucket lists. I think that's quite important. Be resilient. Just carry on doing things and know what your passion is. We all got different passions. One wants to play golf, one wants to fish. I stay in a little town called Dahlstrom. There's a lot of fishing taking place here. Unfortunately, there's also a lot of whiskey drinking. But know your passion and know what to do with it. So yeah, find out what people's passion is. If you start talking to them, you say, "What's your passion?" The guy says, "No, I like doing this. I like doing that. This. I've got a friend who rides a bicycle every day of his life, and I can't think of anything worse to do." So, but that's his passion. So let's just bear those things in mind. How to write your job description. You must decide who's your target audience. Um, um, get your best job positioning title right, and make sure that people understand that a lot of information on Google. Do a job summary. I see sometimes uh, CVs that are 60 pages long, and nobody reads that stuff. So I think what you must do, always remember, is keep the job description very focused. Sorry, 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 Simon, 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 Simon. Annika, can you mute him? Okay. Sorry, that's the problem with this stuff. So yes, I think that's the important thing. There's a lot of guidance and so forth on Google and other places. So career tips for young professionals. Can you believe it? The fourth one, Annika. Right. Just and again, we will circulate this when we send out the link. Uh, I mean, in your career as a young professional, develop a vision. When we start off, we don't always know where we want to go, but do work on it. Look for a mentor. Express yourself. Say your say and be involved in stuff. Never stop learning. Live your dream. Act responsibly. Yeah, I think all of us have been through this where we don't always act responsibly. Be positive. Build your foundation on good examples. Travel and live abroad. I say that I've got a son who's 34, who stays in New Zealand, comes from South Africa, was a 911 paramedic. He jumps out of choppers now to rescue people in New Zealand. They call him the South African angel out of heaven. In the papers, that's what they talk to him about. He comes out of choppers to rescue people. So to me, he's there. He's an example to his father. His father uses him as a mentor. Can you believe it? But I ask my son when I have a problem. He's very, very knowledgeable due to the experience. Know what you want in life. Yeah, we all want nice flashy cars, but at least choose something nice. But know what you want. Where do you want to go? Or do you just want to sit like many people that we have? They sit and they get to 40 and then they say, I wish I can retire so I can go and die. I've got a problem with retirement age in South Africa. It's too young. And I think it's a government-made thing. Explore new skills and capabilities. You might be an engineer, but you might want to find out how to bake cake. And if you find many of people do this, and they can bake a cake and they're a top engineer. Don't procrastinate and take some risks. Sometimes it's necessary to take risks. Define your values. Have you got values? Do you pay a bribe? Do you take something in a shop and put it in your pocket? So just before I end off, I'm going to let people have a summary of this, but I've just picked up a book and I've just read through it and I must share this with you. It's unbelievable. I get goosebumps when I read. This book's name is Legacy, and it was written by James Kerr, and it it handles what the heading says is what the All Blacks can teach us about business of life. And I read this book and I actually thought, wow, this is how the All Blacks work. No wonder they're the best in the world. And we try and win them once in a time as the Box, but they're still the best in the world. There's a few things I just want to share with you about the All Blacks. When they finish the game, they clean their own place where they, what do you call it, where they undress. And so they clean it themselves. Nobody goes to clean their place where they've undressed and where they've had a nice beer afterwards. Nobody goes in there. When the guy gets an All Black jersey and he gets the badge on his chest, he is an All Black. He lives All Black. He eats All Black. He sleeps All Black because he's so proud to be an All Black and been chosen by the All Blacks that he does everything as an All Black because he doesn't want to give the All Blacks a bad name. Then if you do become an All Black and you do get it a bit wrong and you misbehave yourself somewhere, the the team calls you in, you stand in the middle and you tell the team what you've done wrong. And you better apologize to the team because there's a few All Blacks that are huge. And they say in the book, there is from time to time a little bit of a slap by one of the older, bigger players. He says, but we told you not to drink too much and fight in the bar, whatever. So this is an unbelievable book. And those are just one or two or three of the things that live. I just thought, yo, can you be so proud that if you work we work for a company and you work for one of the companies that are around this meeting today, you're proud to work for them. If you're not, I suggest leave. Go and work for somebody else because if you're not proud, I'm proud of what I do. I really am. But yeah, some people aren't. They work there because they have to work there. They're miserable and they're not conveying the message that I'm a All Black. And I think Rassie Erasmus has caught on to that. And I think the Springboks, to a certain extent, are also starting to build that strong commitment relationship as young people, because when you play rugby, you're young. And yeah, the guys do get out of hand sometimes. So I thought I'll share that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, at some stage, I've read this book twice now, but I'm going to take out some portions and then we'll put them in a document and share them with you. Chair, thank you very, very much for allowing me to share these few highlights. And if anybody wants to phone me or contact me, I'm willing to mentor them. I was trained as a mentor many years ago, a few years ago. So yeah, but let's carry on and help young people get somewhere. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Nico, for that. Very inspiring. And at least we know, there's hope out there from a coaching and mentoring point of view. Just the one takeout on my side there is that, it's up to the individual, everything put on the table. You've got to go, you've got to set your goals, and you've got to personally work hard. The solutions are not there, in front of you. And you've got to just, be committed. I think Nico used the word resilient, and try and get to your goals. On that note, I just want to open it to the foyer. If there's any general comments or questions. Okay, I'd just like to thank everyone for joining this meeting. And take care and be safe and enjoy the rest of the week.
Thank you, Chair.
Cheers. Cheers, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Cheers.
Thank you.